Welcome to your favorite program, The Power Circuit, from the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. This program keeps you informed about the operations of TCN and the role it plays in managing the national electricity grid. Here are the headlines of the stories lined up in this edition. Minister of Power restates commitment to Mambila hydropower projects. TCN is implementing a master plan to be among leading global power companies, says Acting MD CEO Engineer Abdulaziz. TCN, Senior Electricity Workers Union, sustaining industrial harmony, says management. Power Grid Code Review Panel have brainstormed on improved performance for the sector. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, is continuously sensitizing the general public on the dangers of the encroachment of the right-of-way of power transmission lines and how they can help to guide against this. We'll be bringing to you a highlight of some cases in Abuja. My name is Amara Agogoisi, and I'll be taking you through this half-hour program, The Power Circuit. The Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman, says the federal government is committed to executing the multi-billion naira Mambila hydropower project in Taraba State. Our correspondent completes the story.
The minister, who stated this in Jalingo, the Taraba State capital, while marking the Salah celebration, said no administration has shown a high level of commitment and political will towards the projects as the present one. He said, apart from the presidential committee set up by President Muhammadu Buhari for the implementation of the project, funds were released to the Taraba State government to pay surveyors handling the land and aerial survey of the project sites. The minister explained that the money was released to the Taraba State government because of a memorandum of understanding (MOU) between the Federal Ministry of Power and the state government for the survey work. Engineer Mamman explained that funding has been provided to the state government because under the Land Use Acts, all lands belong to the state governments. The funding is also for the sensitization of host communities in areas earmarked for the projects, he added. The minister then assured that after the completion of the survey work, compensation will be paid to owners of the land marked for the projects in the states.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, is implementing a robust master plan that will enable the power utility firm to become one of the leading power companies globally, says the Acting Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of TCN, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz.
Engineer Abdulaziz stated this while addressing participants as the keynote speaker of the technical workshop on power systems organized by the United States Trade and Development Agency, USTDA, in Abuja. The TCN head, who was represented by the General Manager, Systems Planning and Development at TCN, Engineer Abba Aliu Shehu, said the company has a robust master plan for the advancement of the power transmission grid. Speaking on the action plans of TCN towards this line, Engineer Abdulaziz said TCN seeks to be one of the leading electricity companies in the world.
For TCN to pursue its vision to be one of the leading electricity transmission company in the world and achieving its mission statement of transmission electricity in the most efficient and effective manner, it has no option than to embrace the three sustainable energy strategies. Consequently, this smart grid workshop will be of immense benefit to TCN and all power industry stakeholders. We at TCN are always open to new ideas on improving and strengthening the grid, and therefore the TCN contingent at this event are open to learning more about equipment and services that can help strengthen and improve the resilience of our transmission network to wield more reliable and efficient power to the distribution companies.
He also gave a highlight of the power sector capacity and how sector players are working to improve on the power generation, transmission, and distribution capacity.
There is currently about 13,000 megawatt of installed generation capacity, of which about 7,000 megawatt are mechanically available. The transmission network, which TCN owns, operates, and manages, has an indicative wheeling capacity of 7,300 megawatts. However, the estimated demand is about 2,000 megawatts, hence presenting an opportunity for the expansion of the grid to meet the demand of the Nigerian citizens and residents. TCN has embarked on various initiatives to support the expansion of the system, with planning process as the ultimate guide for expansion activities. To support the grid expansion process, TCN engaged Fishing of Germany to carry out a study for the development of a 20-year power system expansion master plan, covering the period of 2020 to 2037. The studies addresses a wide range of topics, including demand forecast, the projection of existing generation capacities availability, least cost future generation candidates, including the integration of over 2,200 megawatt PV solar, least cost transmission analysis, cost estimation, financial analysis, and environmental impact scoping.
Speaking on the Presidential Power Initiative PPI, the Program Manager Power Sector Recovery Program, Mr. Kenny Anuwe, said the initiative was set up to expedite action and urgency on the situation of the power sector.
We still align, for instance, to the network development studies of the TCN, to the standards of NEMSA, and of course to the regulatory imperatives of NERC.
The technical workshop, which continued the next day, had officials of the various power sector agencies in attendance, with presentations on the Nigerian power systems management by USTDA officials.
The power circuits continues after this break.
Verify that land before you buy it. To drastically reduce the incidence of building under the transmission right-of-way or encroaching on designated TCN land, members of the public are hereby requested to verify land near or along transmission line route before purchasing it. Verification should be made in the Land Development Authority or at the TCN office. This would help in drastically reducing the incidence of building under transmission line right-of-way and save us all the problem of pulling down the structure or truncating transmission line expansion projects in your community due to court injunction. Help us serve you better. Verify that land before you buy it.
Members of the Power Grid Code Review Panel have had their 21st meeting to brainstorm on the activities of the Nigerian electricity market towards improving operations in the power sector. Our correspondent brings you more of these reports.
At the 21st Grid Code Review Panel meeting held in Kefi, Nasarawa State, the Executive Director, Independent System Operation at the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, and Chairman of the panel, Engineer Mamman Jimo Lawal, in his opening remarks said the panel was constituted in December 2018 and comprises officials drawn from the power sector value chain.
I would claim the indulgence to draw our attention to Section 3.1.1 of the Grid Code, which states that a Grid Code Review Panel shall be formed pursuant to 42 of the market rules. This panel shall be in charge of the Grid Code review and amendment. This is the cardinal reason for which the panel was instituted. The panel is to drive the review and amendment processes of the Grid Code in order to improve its efficacy in guiding all users of the electric power grid. Other functions of the Grid Code Review Panel, as contained in the Grid Code, are as follows. 1. To keep the Grid Code and its working under review. Review all amendments to the Grid Code which NEC or any user or TCN may wish to submit for consideration by the panel from time to time. To publish recommendations as to amendments to the Grid Code that TCN or the panel fees are necessary or desirable, and the reasons for the recommendations. To issue guidance in relation to the grid code and its implementation, performance, and interpretation when asked to do so.
Engineer Lawal also said, considering the changes arising in the power sector, the meeting was crucial to review the grid code. It is a set of guidelines that operators must comply with for an efficient electricity grid operation. He enjoined the members to continue to be dedicated towards delivering on the mandate that has been given to them to make the power sector efficient.
It is my hope that the panel will drive its mandate effectively within the 2 years of her tenure. I wish us all fruitful deliberations as this meeting is declared open. Thank you.
Secretary of the Grid Code Review Panel and Assistant General Manager Systems Planning and Development at TCN, Engineer Kabiru Adamu, further explained the roles and expectations of the panel members, noting that the objective is to have and sustain a functional electricity sector.
So this version of the business code was developed in 2015 and it was under revision. So far it's been the one being used. So all members of the panel are expected to acquaint themselves with it because that's where the guidance on the activities of the panel are stated as we may also have comments or improvement to it if need be to make it a better document and guide.
Members of the panel made their observations during the review session as they referred to the existing version of the grid code and how it can be enhanced to improve the power sector performance. Secretary of the Grid Code Review Panel further explained the objectives of the meeting as he spoke on the sideline of the meeting.
The Grid Code Review Panel is a panel of experts constituted from the various stakeholder groups that are the users of the Nigerian national grid for the purpose of keeping the workings and the operations of the grid code under review all the time. So the grid code is a document, one of the ruling documents within the industry that provides guide, regulations on how users are connected to the grid and how users are expected to operate within the grid. The purpose of providing the code is to ensure that the integrity of the grid is maintained, that the users do not compromise minimum standard expected of them to be able to operate and sustain the grid.
The management of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says the company and the Union of Senior Electricity Workers have continued to sustain industrial harmony towards delivering the mandate of the company in the power sector. The Executive Director, Human Resources and Change Management, Barrister Justin Ishaya Dodo, reiterated these statements during a meeting he presided over with executives of the TCN chapter of the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies, SEAC.
At the meeting held at the TCN headquarters in Abuja, Barrister Dodo lauded the union members and the TCN management officials for sustaining the harmonious relationship. The human resource expert further noted that all observations during the meeting will be taken for strict implementation to ensure that workers at TCN get the best attention to enable them deliver their best in their various roles. He said the management has deepened the process of training for the workers towards fulfilling their observations. He also commended the union members while taxing them on mutual understanding towards boosting the management and workers' relationship, especially as TCN is making efforts for a better working environment and operational facilities. On his part, the chairman of the TCN chapter of SEAC, Komrelu Nwachukwu, assured that the union will continue to strive to ensure that the harmony and partnership is sustained.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has often worried about the encroachment of the right-of-way of power transmission lines. It will continue to sensitize the general public on the dangers of this and how they can help to guide against this. Here is a highlight of some cases of encroached transmission line of right-of-way in Abuja.
Guzape district is a rising hybrid area in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has a 132 kilovolt high tension transmission line route passing through the district from the 132 kilovolt Katampe transmission station and terminating at the 33 kilovolt Apo transmission substation. Despite the clear marking of the route with the overhead power transmission, there are still conspicuous encroachments of the right-of-way of power infrastructure. An officer 2, System Lines Department at TCN, Engineer Abel Iwodi, spoke about this at the spot of an encroached area in Guzape.
For a long time now, the government has been preaching and publishing under the high tension where people build houses, people plant trees, and the danger in it. We don't want a situation that people will live under the high tension like as this house is. It's enclosed to the power line. And if there is anything that happen under the power line, they will not be safe.
Engineer Iwodi further highlighted the dangers of living close to a power transmission line.
If anything happen to this tower and the tower fall, you will discover that it will stop all the business of the day. People will not have light and a lot of things, so on and so forth like that. There is a lot of places that all these kind of things are built. All this building, farming, and other enclosement in a lot of places.
Just bordering Guzape is the Asokoro district of Abuja, where similar encroachments of the 132 kilovolt power transmission line right-of-way was observed. Engineer Iwodi said a barricade was raised by TCN some years back to prevent trucks from ramming into the transmission line tower, as an accident involving a truck affected one of the towers on the line route in the place. Lugbe town is about a 20-minute drive from the Abuja city center. The axis also has multiple 132 kilovolts power transmission line routes connecting the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, and from the 132 kilovolts Gwagwalada transmission station within the FCT to the 33 kilovolts Kukwaba and Apo transmission substations in Abuja. The TCN crew also observed several infractions along the transmission line route. A particular spot was turned to mechanic workshops directly under the power line, with traders going about their business freely by the roadside, as another section of the area has been turned to a marketplace. Still within this area, a water tank dealer found a spot to display his ware with a transmission line tower serving as support for his business. More mechanics and the cement dealer are now the hosts in this area. The encroachments, which span a lengthy distance of the transmission line's route, have shanties occupied by residents believed to be hawkers, mechanics, and other artisanal workers. A particular area, the base of TCN Power Transmission Tower, has become a beehive of activities by the encroachers. This is Papi, a suburb near Maitama district in Abuja, where multiple power transmission lines spring through. However, The power transmission infrastructure has been affected by the encroachment of the transmission line right-of-way by residents and artisanal workers in the suburb. This is spots on the line route dominated by mechanics who do not care about the hazard and safety implications of doing business under the power transmission line, including using the tower base as a parking lot. One of the mechanics spoke to the power circuit crew. Mr. Kayode Dare has been working under this transmission line route for years and is aware of the threat of danger.
Yes, it is dangerous because why? We don't have any option. That's why we are still pleading. If government can make a good place for us, there's no any space in around there in which you will stay. That's supposed to come and disturb you. So we are still pleading, we are begging. If government can just come and help us for a good place that will not be under high tension, we'll be very happy with that.
The Dawaki and Dutse Alhaji Aziz in the Buhari Area Council of FCT is another area with massive rights-of-way violations of the multiple power transmission line route. There is a 330 kV power transmission line that connects from the 330 132 kV Shiroro transmission station in Niger State to the 330 132 kV Katampe transmission station in Abuja. There is also the 132 kV power transmission line from the Katampe station to the 132 kV Kubwa transmission substation in the FCT. These critical power assets are faced with threats of encroachment by residents, artisanal workers, and business operators, mostly block industries, especially around the Dawaki area. Around the Dutse Alhaji Aziz, there are trenches dug near the base of the towers on the transmission line route. While others make it a place for refuse dump by the residents, this is already affecting the pillar stand of a tower under the transmission line route as it is exposed to flood. More so, residential houses and makeshift shops compete with the power transmission lines on a way leave that has been exclusively preserved for the federal government for the transmission of bulk power.
TCN urges you and all stakeholders in the Nigerian dream to collaborate in tackling this menace, which has health and safety implications and could affect the efficient delivery of power supply to Nigerians. As we wrap up this edition, here are the headlines again. Minister of Power reassures the progress on Mambila hydropower projects. TCN is implementing a master plan to be among leading global power companies, says Acting MD CEO Engineer Abdulaziz. TCN, Senior Electricity Workers Union, sustaining industrial harmony, says management. Power Grid Code Review Panel have brainstormed on improved performance for the sector. You also saw a highlight on the encroachment of the right-of-way of power transmission lines in Abuja. Together, we can work to stop such acts to ensure that the power infrastructure are in top shape to serve your electricity supply demand. Thank you always, our viewer, for being a part of the power circuit. This episode and all others are readily accessible with just a click on the TCN YouTube channel. Keep supporting TCN through these platforms so that together the company can achieve more milestones in delivering bulk electricity for improved power consumer experience. Kindly ensure you take the COVID-19 preventive mechanisms seriously, as there are reported cases of the outbreak of the new Delta variant in Nigeria. I am Amara Agogoesi. Top of the day to you.